so Tuesday then. Y'all see anything yet?
It's pinning right to the where it was in New York the day before.
Well, I mean,
No,
this is just basically right here, looking like a trade, almost like a trade out of the edge here with this first leg, the second leg here, and then this one candle here is you didn't really have. See, the problem with these kind of trades basically is that you don't get the normal stop hunt, right? And so you don't get a lot of kind of confirmations essentially that you can use to your advantage. Typically you want to have confirmation so you can use to your advantage and stuff like that, but you don't get that many confirmations besides just price action, one leg here, second leg here, and then it just goes. And sometimes, a lot of times, you're going to think that this right here is the stop hunt to begin with. Now, the only thing that I can think of right now is, let's just say the average, I don't know, ADR is probably like 100. I mean, from this high here to this low is about 300 pips. You see that? So because of that, I'm already looking at this being possibly peak. You had a level here, a level here, and a level there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that would like automatically give me a bias of essentially wanting to be a seller. And so if you think about it, right, if you would have done this pre-work before, and this would have been peak formation high here for you, you're essentially literally looking for a pullback during level one. And so this trade here becomes more of a reality because you know what the bias is that you have. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I mean, this right here, if this already broke that level, so if that level breaks, or if that level is broken already, then you're pretty much, unless you get a continuation trade in New York, this is pretty much going to be gone. Which you don't even see. You don't even get that. You just got a straight movement sideways. So this is on a Wednesday. So far, what kind of a cycle are you in?
Trending,
right? Peak 1. This is building out 2 now. And I mean, you already see this candle here. You see how big this candle is right here? This is almost, 7 pip candle if this Asian range is 13 pips. look at the candle before it. It's a huge spike, basically. And then this candle goes straight down. So what this tells me is that this looks like a straightaway trade almost. Unless this comes back for like a type 3. So let's say something like, let's say this comes down, does this, and then does that. But I mean, the way that this candle is moving right here, if you're looking for sells already, this might be a straightaway trade where it just goes. Let's see. Oh, shit. Too fast. Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. Yeah, look at that. The only thing that you would have here as any possible trade would be a trade back up to the 50 as like a retracement to build out a level. But I mean, this right here has already moved 181 pips. So you still got about 100 or so to go. So you still have, theoretically more movement down. But I mean, in reality, if you can see, all this did was basically just retrace this entire one-day move. You see that? That's all that basically did. So you had a big move because of news that essentially what happened is it threw off all of the books for that week. So you got to come right back, and go back to normal, to where it was, essentially. Does that make sense? See, I mean, you could even freaking draw, just putting together like a little triangle, almost. Let's see. That one candle right there, they got a lot of people to sell. On that one candle. How many people you think they got to sell on that? And they just came back up the whole thing. This candle by itself was about close to 20 pip candle. I bet you this goes to 50 and then that's it. Let's see. This is 50 and that's it. All right, so Thursday. So what are we looking for on Thursday? If it's a trending cycle.
Still looking for sells.
Still looking for sells, right? I mean, you could do, there's one there. I mean, this is going to be another one here also. That's 3. So you need basically like a peak. You need this, and then you need that. Does that make sense, right? Peak 1, 2, 3. So that's what you would essentially need to happen then. Let's see. Still looking for sells though. Yeah, sit up there, but interestingly enough, do you see this right here? They went to yesterday's low. They spiked yesterday's low, which is also here. This is before the news hit on Friday. Do you see that? That same, pretty much that same area. Right there, right there. Look, this is like, this is the behavior that you're looking for. Spike, goes back up, comes back down. Now you got two spikes. Do you see that? So these are all like, think about behavioral things that you would want to see, right? You just want to see behaviors. So what are the behaviors? You know, once you learn the behaviors, essentially what you'll probably end up doing is you could set up like, let's say, you know, like a buy limit down here or something. You know, where you can get a stupid, ridiculous entry that people are like, how did you get that entry? The only reason you don't enter that trade right now is because of the because you're outside of the box. This is like 7 o'clock. So there's New York Open. Right there. Do you see? 1, 2, 3. 3 spikes to the low. I bet you this right here goes up to at least this high here, which is where the 200 is, or possibly even goes up to this 800. If it does that, that would basically give you the M, 3 levels, W. Does that make sense?
Yep, that looks correct.
So once you look, it went to the 200 or the 800. So if this is like the you can call it the count on a 15-minute chart, what would the count be on a 15-minute chart? Right, this would be, if this would be, let's say, a peak here, and this is like level 1. This is, of course, on a 15-minute chart. So this is what, Friday? So if this is really peak formation low, and this is level 1, what would you be looking for?
A buy?
You'd be looking for buys. You can see the EMAs are starting to come down, the bigger ones at least are all starting to get very close to where price is. The 50 is already like intertwined going through price. Does everybody see that?
Yeah, the W there, and it spiked down there before.
I think this candle's too big though to get into it though. So you'd want like it's about 10 pips. So ideally you'd want something to come halfway down that candle, because then you could put your stop loss down here. It's still only 13 pips, and then you can go, 2 to 1 is basically to the 800. Does that make sense? Something like that. So it's like, these kind of situations are situations where you can be like, maybe I could put, let's say, let's say this is a trade that I want, that I'm comfortable with taking, and I want price to come back down, you could put in, let's say, a buy limit there. You could basically put in the order of buy limit, your stop loss, and then your take profit. And so if price does come down, hits it, gets you into the trade, and then, you'll get essentially the entry that you want, and you're not like trying to get into a trade that, may not give you the better risk to reward ratio. Well, there you go. That puts you into the trade there. There we go, almost. So row retractor take profit. I went higher actually. So there's your Friday. So you see how it moved. You had a trade, but then it went right back down to where it started from. See that? So it started here, went up, came right back down to start the new week, right where it started from. So, technically this right here, this whole thing is still, you're still building up that same level. Does that make sense? Because of that. If you're counting levels on a 15-minute chart. So let's see what happens here. Now you're going to look at on this past trade here, you look at the TDI, but you can look at where this was, and you had divergence there also. The second leg here was already higher than the first, but it was lower on this one. See that? So you had divergence also on the TDI. Anybody thinking anything so far?
I mean, it did make a W there, but would you have took that?
I mean, you're looking at, it's kind of sloppy, man.
Yeah.
So this whole 1, 2, 3, these 4 candles here would have probably not you know, giving me the greatest confidence there. We just had a, whatchamacallit, a start pattern here. Tag into yesterday's high here. So
this is all still level. Is this all still level 1?
Yeah,
or did we?
This way here.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Reset.
Reset, right? Reset. So now you know you're looking for cells. You're looking for cells the rest of the week. So if you're looking for cells the rest of the week, what's the whatchamacallit? What do you think? What is the likelihood of that you can guess what the damn cycle is going to be for that week? If you just had a reset on a Monday.
It's a trending cycle for the week.
Right, it's a trending cycle for the week. So you're selling. So if you can find yourself one setup on a Tuesday, you can let that son bitch ride till Friday. So the question becomes, is there going to be a sell setup on Tuesday that you can get into that you can ride? So what's the only option here for a sell setup?
Type 3.
Type 3, right? It's the only thing. And so if you just look at it, like, unless you have a major move up, like this is probably going to end up happening maybe in the US session or something. Because it still has a long way to go back up. So, I mean, that right there would be an entry right there for me. It's the first leg here, second leg here on a railroad track when you're pinning to the 50. You see that? How big is that candle? Yeah, I mean, it's 13 pip candle. So that would give you a ton of, what would you need? I mean, if you're holding this here, where is it likely to go? If this is a trending cycle, where is it going to go? What's the likelihood of where it's going to go?
I say minimum where you was just at that peak down there.
At the peak where?
On Thursday, the last Thursday.
Over here?
The Thursday before that.
Oh, over here, down here.
Down in there somewhere.
Okay. That'd be got 230 pip trade. All right, so let's mark this off here. So there's the first area, I think. Second area is there, and then I think we'd have to go back further, even way back. So somewhere like around here, that's another one. So these would be like your three, your 3 points, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So let's see what happens here. So sideways, building up that level. What is this, Wednesday? Shit, I marked it. This might be another entry right here. On that pullback though. Yeah, that would have been railroad track, and then this is literally just working the area. See that? Would have been another entry right there. It's only Wednesday. You already hit your fucking your shit. It's Wednesday. You still got 2 more days to go. Jeez. Next thing. So I mean, you already hit like 300. Shit. Yeah. All right, so Friday. So you're 400 pips in. What do you do?
I don't even trade.
So what do you do with the trade? You leave it open? You close it?
I close the trade.
What you thinking, Troy?
You parlay it. You bet the whole house.
Yeah.
You see what happens. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, close the trade.
You put the chips all in. You just YOLO. So I definitely wouldn't add more positions, Lito. For sure. It's Friday, man. I'd be sleeping. Honestly, I'd close the trade and be sleeping. And I probably wouldn't trade the next week after that either. If you catch 400 pips on swing trade. I mean, you've already doubled what you thought you could go during the week anyways. So, I mean, you're looking from, let's say 370, 380. Went max. I mean, absolutely max, like 500. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but, 370 out of 500 for one trade is not pretty bad, right? Right, you could be done for the month if you wanted to. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I mean, the one thing I want you guys to pay attention to is how important the historical data is from back here, back from February. You could even go back further because it kept going back, or down further, right? So you could do some, let's say from here, let's say some around this area here. So if you go back now, you're pretty much still in the middle, what I'm saying, of that, but you made it a pretty big distance. Does that make sense? And I mean, so I think this will definitely make it to 2,700, which is an even number. Let's just speed it up real quick just to see. But so yeah, 2,700. Yeah. And so remember that this is still on a bigger time frame as far as like this, what it's doing now, as far as being in the middle of this area and this area. This is like in the middle of no man's land, right? Where it has to go to one of these major areas. You get what I'm saying? So it's still got a ways to go. And look, 26, I mean, it'll make it to 2,600 now, or 26,000, I should say, for that week. Yeah, right to 26. You see that? Now going back up. So if you want a swing trade, there you go. Off peak formations or off of resets. Best time to do it. What was the other pair? Was it pound CAD you said, Troy?
Yeah, it was pound CAD.
Pound CAD.
Yeah, I just started trading that again. It's been moving pretty nicely.
Pound CAD has?
Recently it has, yeah. It's moving in line with USD for some reason.
Got it. Oh, shit. It's for this week. All right. So what do we have so far on pound CAD for that particular week there?
It's trending. Or is that consolidation because it ended where it started at?
Well, I mean, it went down, so it made a false move down. You didn't have a full day of rise on Tuesday, right? But it basically went down, created a new low, and then created higher highs the rest of the week. Do you see that? Do you see how it created higher highs?
Yeah, it's a trending cycle.
The trend
Yeah,
is
it's trending.
right. It's a trending cycle. Yeah. All right. So that's what it did that week. So now, let's see. One thing I want you to notice off the bat, I mean, is if you look at the EMAs, the bigger ones especially, you see how they went from like trending to now wanting to almost like go through the damn price. So this is almost like a Troy special week right here, probably. All right, so let's focus on, let's see. All right, so yeah, so we had one big move here beginning of the week and then sideways. These EMAs are going straight through price, so I'm pretty much, look at the TDI as well. It's tightening up real tight here. So this is probably going to be an accumulation cycle where it just moves sideways the whole week. It's probably what I'm thinking. So let's just mark this off here, just so we know what the markers are basically. Let's get to. So Troy, you like to trade these type of cycles, right?
Yeah, as long as it's the high or the low. Yep. Well, and the behavior.
So then I'm going to assume that you're looking basically for trades up here. Is that right?
On this setup, I'm not sure because that looks like a squeeze pattern, and out of squeeze patterns, you get like a violent move up, but that could be a fake out, and then you can get the price action will tell me everything and the numbers. See, it's something like that. Yep.
Yeah. See though, that right there looks like a first leg, second leg. Pinning to the 200. How many pips are you away from this? This is you're good size away. So what, anybody thinking anything here?
I don't know if I would take it, but it did make 3 pushes from that high. Like when it made that high up there, you had 1 push down, pull back, 2 pushes down, pull back, then the 3rd push, engulfment. That's what I look for, and depending on if we're at double zeros or 50s after the pattern.
Yeah.
So if it made 3 pushes down like it looks like it have, then I could be possibly looking for a buy.
Yeah, see, so like stuff like this, there's 3.
Like from the very top where it made that spike. Yep, like that 1 push down. Yep. Then the pull back, then the 2nd push down, pull back, then the 3rd push.
I mean, the risk here is very little. Like, the 4.5 to 1 risk to reward ratio on that. That's pretty good risk to reward ratio.
And at that time, I would get out of the trade because it's in the gap time.
Yeah.
Even if it goes, but I just know that 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that's when they do their thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a gap time between that, so yeah. I think the hardest part for, at least for me, I don't like trading accumulation cycles and stuff like that, because it's just some of these can be very convoluted almost. let's see, this is Wednesday. See, now you're really, it's almost like you're not even, it's not worried about this high, this low here. It's almost like working off of that instead, you know? And it's, that's your real range now, it looks like. And so it's, you're like in the middle. So the patterns have to be like damn near perfect, you know, for you to trade them because of that. You just have to be very kind of like open to taking some of these. So like I'm looking at these highs here, the fact that they're not moving past this. This is almost like, you know, what, 62,700, and they're not wanting to move past this. I would like a more of a bigger candle there. Yeah, see, another spike there again. So I mean, where the question becomes, where do you take these, you know, where do you take these trades to, really? I mean, the only place you can really take them to is like to here, hopefully in hope that they would go lower. How many pips is that? It's like literally right at 30 pips. So if you're risking, you'd have to be risking it right at like freaking 15 pips to make it a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on it. These are not really good trades at all. Like as far as, you know, the pattern and stuff, just because it's just so convoluted. I don't like it. Granted, it works, but it's just a lot of back and forth.
I'm wondering if they're going to build out that week and then break out of it on Friday or Monday to break out of that those two barriers you have up there.
Yeah, there's going to be a breakout, man. Either on Friday, like you said, either on Friday or Monday, one of the two. That's definitely, it's building out. There's your, you see that right there, man? This right here is, this is what happens when you look at, this reminds me of like when you look, if you ever study like Elliott wave patterns and stuff, they always have to where, you know, you're moving between let's say a certain support and resistance, and then you have a break, and then you have a like a mini consolidation, and out of that consolidation comes a real move. So if this stays like this, moving sideways, and probably going to have a breakout higher. But it's got to stay within, it can't go back down, essentially, you know? It's got to stay above that range, really, is what it is. See, there it goes. And there is no setup, it just goes. So none of this had anything to do with news or anything like that. So anybody see what I'm seeing? Or is it just me?
Are you thinking that they just built out a level 1?
Well, no, I was thinking that this is a peak here. I'm thinking that this is the peak here. This is the level here. That's the level there.
Okay, so you counted that as a, okay, got you.
And then since this is a 15-minute chart, and I see the 1 hour chart. So I'm thinking that there's definitely from here to here. What is going on with this? From here all the way up. Let me fix it. You got plenty, 600 pips. If you have plenty of pips to be, you know, to have this as a peak here. That looks like a really nice continuation type 3 trade there to go down. Yep. Make it to the 200. Yep. I'm just thinking that this is going to be like a level 1 here, this whole area. kind of wondering what does the bigger time frame look like. You see the bigger time frame shows a huge trend, the reversal. You see that? So if you have a big downtrend like that on the higher time frames, and then let's say you have a reversal, this is probably going to be a reset. I mean, you were trending down for a while on a strong downtrend, and then you finally get, you know, a reversal going to go back up. So if that's the case, if this is like, let's say, you know, level 3-year peak on a higher time frame, this has a lot more room to go up higher. Does that make sense? And so if that's true, then you're gonna end up probably getting a reset that happens. Because obviously a reset needs to happen to go higher. Is that like clicking with anybody, or is this just me?
No, that's clicking. I see it. But the good thing about it, the range is so big, and if the pattern is there and the timing and the behavior, you can trade it both directions. If you're from the high or the low, keeping in mind that you know what the overall trend is.
On the higher time frame, yeah. So I think as long as the price stays above that 800 EMA, which is the 50 on a 4-hour, you know, I think you should be in good shape to think that that's, you know, potentially a reset that should happen if the higher time frame wants to go higher. Let's see. That was a good star pattern there. Right there. You see that? See, here's the behavior here. First leg, star pattern. Second leg, they don't even want to come down to see it. See that?
Yeah, and you got to fish out of water, even though I don't use the TDI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks
Here's what do it look like on the 1 hour? Let's see. That's not up to 40. Okay. I think it's Tuesday, so Tuesday would be that'd be too big though for trade. So it'd be like fucking 30. So you would need your stop loss somewhere around here to like even consider it. Or if you can get a pullback, I think to like this area here, 250, probably too low. Somewhere around here, that would be fantastic. Nope, it's already gone. The pullback was right here in between, right at 645, was it? Yeah, 645. Look at that. So start thinking about what is a way, what would be a way that you could predict resets? Is there any way that you can predict resets? That you can think of?
I don't think there's a way, but if you just look at the behavior and just keep that in mind, what I do, I look at the range expansions, meaning that if it goes to an extreme and breaks it, then I'll multiply the top of that extreme to the bottom times 2, and that'll be my target.
Yeah. I think that literally what I just talked about, I think would be one way you could try to predict resets. Meaning if you're looking at the higher time frame, if you scope over to the higher time frames and you notice that there was a big ass trend that literally just happened. Look at that trend. Look at that. That's from like May, May all the way to August. So that's months, you know? If you see a big ass trend like this that just happened on a bigger time frame, you see that there's a reversal that's happening. Like you should expect a reset, you know? That trend is how many months? It's like 4 months. And you have, shit, if you go back, there's your last big area there. I mean, look, you see that? You see? Look, it touched that area, went right back up. Look at that. I mean, you can go back literally to 2016. This is shit that happened back in 2016. Hit that, reverse. Hit that, reverse, hit that, reverse. So guess what? Comes here, reverse. You see that? So if you see that on the higher time frames, I think that's probably going to be one of the best ways you can predict or be aware of a possible reset. Because you know that on the higher time frame, price wants to push higher. Because of previous structure, you can go back to 2017, 2017, and 2016, and it's there. And it, got rejected from that area. That's 4 years ago. Look, there's nothing but open space until 2013. You have to go back that far. So I think if you see that, that's probably going to be your best bet. 2 spots, or try to spot, or just have it in the back of your damn mind that it's a possibility for a reset. And if you see this happen where you're expecting to sell, you're coming off a peak, you're like at level 1 here, and you're expecting to sell, and you get this behavior, you should already have like let's say like a second drawing, right? If your drawing is like this of peak and then 1, you should have a second drawing, a backup drawing of like peak 1, 2, 3. You get what I'm saying? So that way you can already predict what the next, you can be prepared basically. So if you get, let's say, a buy setup here, like you already know. It's not, oh my God, it's a huge surprise for you.
Hey, Mark, I'm hearing the U.S. dollar is going to continue to be weak when Biden takes over. I'm just reading some stuff here.
Hey, man, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Because if that's true, that'll break a trend of like fucking since the 1970s, I think.
Yeah.
So
But
we'll see.
that would mean gold would still go up, though.
Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, if you can buy gold, man. I don't think you could ever go wrong with buying gold. Let's finish out this week real quick here. And we'll take a look at the dollar here. Yeah, it goes right to the 200. Goes right to the 200. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, way over 8 fucking candles between the first and second leg. That right there should be like a huge bulbs going off in the head. You see that? That should be huge bulbs going off on your head right there.
Hey, is that at double zeros or 50s? That pin? Just
This
curious.
is at 65.
Yeah, 50 and double zero. Okay.
Yeah, 65 000. Yeah. So that right there, I mean, that's probably going to be your next trade going up. Yeah. That's probably going to be your next trade going up. So yeah, look, spike, 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 spike. They go as far down as what, 659, 53. They go down as far down as 49.53. So not just perfectly, 65. They go down an additional, how many pips is that? An extra 3 to 4 pips with the spreads, probably like another 5, 6 or so. So probably like another 10 pips with these spikes. And then they take off. They're not coming back. So where we at? Count out with me. What is this? If this is a reset. This is already 1, or that's low. That's 1. This is pretty much the same area. So this whole thing would be 1 here. Probably still looking for buys. If I'm looking for buys, I'd want something to spike that freaking 200. That's what I would want. To spike off to the 200. That would be huge confirmation. If you can get price to spike off of that thing for a buy. There's a US session there. Here's that spike again right there. So he's going all the way down. So it's another 65,300. Damn, there it is. This is probably, what is this? 1300 is what, 1 o'clock? Is that 1 o'clock? Is that right? 1 o'clock Eastern. Friday. Shit, can you see the levels from that, from the reset? Anybody see those levels? There's one. There's the low. Here's the 2. Here's the 3. This is probably peak here. $236 clicks. Way overextended on the TDI. So you should expect a move down. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. So if you want to count, you can look at it several different ways. You can look at it as this being 1, this being 2, this being 3, and then this is your peak. Or because these two opened around the same area, this could be a whole level by itself. That would be peak 1, 2, and then this would be 3. Does that make sense?
Yep.
This I'm assuming is going to drop. Has to drop if that's the truth. Yeah, so there you go. Boom, look at that shit. It's just going to consolidate for the rest of the day. Yeah, so look, there you go. See what I mean? So by the time, so this is a thing that's like, by the time you realize that it's a reset, like the 3 levels have already played out. You see what I mean? So if you can combine that higher time frame, I think would help you tremendously in trying to identify when that'll happen. Because as you see, just in this one example, by the time you're like, oh shit, we're in the middle of a reset, or we had a reset, like you already had friggin' 3 levels of rise. So that make sense to everybody? So on those dollar, I'm looking here, man. I'm trying to see if the dollar can get to this point here when Biden takes office. And then see if it consolidates and goes back up like it's done every single time a Democratic president has been in office. So literally, you can see the map here. Let's go to weekly. And I mean, you can see the different presidencies just by the chart itself, right? So this right here is Trump. This whole freaking thing right here is Obama. All this over here is Bush. You see that? But look what happened when Bush took office, bro. There's Obama. Here's Trump. Who was before Bush? Clinton, right? Here's Clinton. Before that was Bush Sr. Before that was what? Reagan? Or Carter? What was it, Reagan or Carter first? Then it was Reagan.
Reagan.
Right? Reagan, then
Reagan.
Carter. Yeah, so look. You see what I mean? So like, I've noticed that every time, for some reason, right, Republicans like to have businesses from outside of the country do business with us, right? So because of that fact, if you're a business, let's say from a different country, and especially a country where your currency is stupid weak, let's say like a Mexican peso or a Filipino peso, where one American dollar is like 50 pesos. Well, whenever you do business with us, if your currency is so weak to ours, whenever you do business with us and you have to take that money back to your own country and you have to convert it over, you end up losing money. You know what I mean? So if the Republicans make the dollar weaker, that encourages other countries to do business with us. But if the dollar is strong, then obviously that disencourages them from doing business with us, because by the time that they get the money into their country, it's going to be weak as shit when they convert it over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's probably why they call him Beijing Biden, like China's his buddy or
So
something.
that's like one thing that I've just noticed, right, from seeing all this stuff, is that every time every time that we have a Republican president, they've always wanted to do business. Look at Bush with all the oil companies that he owns just outside of Texas and international, you know. So I would want to see this dollar come down to this area of like 88, 589, this little area right here, and then see what happens. See if it breaks. If it breaks below that, I mean, then you can see that it's going to be basically a free fall. You know what I mean? Until it gets to like 83 to these areas here. But I mean, you can span this out all the way over to where that's going to be an area essentially. And who knows, dude, this guy still has fucking 17 days in office. Who the hell knows what he's going to do? You know? Who knows what this guy is going to do in the next 17 days that he still have left in office? So very unpredictable. So who the hell knows? But the ideal range that would be optimal for this dollar to get to is literally like the 89 000. And as far down as like, 88 500. And then basically see if we can stay in that range and then possibly bounce up as, as whatever policies or new stuff happens with Biden or whatnots. But yeah, that's what I see with that dollar. That's what I would like to see, at least with the dollar. So any questions? About anything? Does anybody here trade like pairs that start with USD, or is everybody like in euro and pound country?
I trade USD CAD from time to time.
Okay. I hope you're still selling it, yeah?
The only reason I would even go to there is if it's a day to where the pound's not doing anything and the euro's not doing anything that I like. And if it's in the US session, somehow the CAD is,
Well, here's the reason I tell you that is because this is the third leg right here of the third level.
Yep.
This has been working on for like fucking 2 years on this and then this. You know what I mean? So now it's finally broken out of this crap. So you have, you know what I mean? I moved to here, moved to here, and moved to here. That's going to happen. So long term, selling, selling, selling is the name of the game on this. Now think about this though. Think about the psychology behind this. If this happens, if that happens, right? Go back to the dollar index. What happens to the dollar index, right? This drops, right? This continues to lose value. You see what I'm saying? So that right there is just a good indication right there of the dollar losing value. If you look at pairs like USD, what is it, USD Swiss here. This looks like, this right here looks like a peak formation low. Right here, this right here could be disguised as a reset though, if the dollar continues to lose value. You see what I'm saying? So this right here could be a peak low. This could be level 1 here. That could be disguised as a reset to go lower. You know what I mean? I mean to go lower like to these points down here. Look, to go down to this. You see what I'm saying? Just like who trades that US Euro USC stuff? Who was it that wanted to look at EURUSD?
Not me.
Santos. I think Santos, look, I think that this right here is a fake peak formation high. I think that this is if this is just completely off the thing of the dollar being, you know, continuing to be weak for like whatever, another month or so. If that theory itself is true, then this is going to be a fake peak formation high, and this would be a reset. You know what I'm saying? Is all I'm trying to say. Because it would match with literally every other USD pair that you're looking at. That you can get, you know, basically like confirmation from, like USD CAD, USD Swiss, Euro USD. You know, I know this thing's been trending up for fucking like a month and a half now. But I mean, when you look at the bigger time frame, like the daily, like it just has like literally this little bit to go. You know what I mean? And that little bit is what I'm saying would happen if this goes down just that little bit to here, it would cause your USD to go up that little bit, you know, USD CAD to go down that little bit. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm basing all that off, you know? Because I mean, it's right there. What are we talking about? We're not talking about very much. We're talking about a range here at the very most of like 300 pips or so at the max. But if we can just get like 150, you know, we're like literally right in the mix. You know? So, all right. Any other questions? All right, guys, enjoy your week. Everything goes back to normal this week with the trade room sessions and stuff. All right, so you guys take care, and we'll see you in the trade room.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.